Parents, raising a child these days is becoming more and more of a costly enterprise. According to a U.S. Department of Agriculture report, a typical family will spend about $220,000 raising a child from birth to 18 years of age, and that's not including university fees. Well, we'll get some thoughts and experience from Nuri Vitachi slightly later, but for now, though, let's go to our guest today. Of course, he's Arjuna Mahendran of HSBC Private Banking. You would have a thing or two to say about that, don't you?
Well, yes. I mean, children are expensive. There's no question about it. Tell me, I mean, when I look at my son, playing with all these games that he buys for his Nintendo or his Xbox, it is a pretty expensive proposition. And that's part of the problem, isn't it? There's this sort of peer pressure in this generation X, as they call them, people who are born after 1980. They're so technologically savvy, they have to have all the latest gadgets at their disposal all the time. Part of the problem is that they've become illiterate in the process. They can't read a book, but they're very good at twiddling around with all these computer games and whatnot. Probably that's the way forward. I mean, I'm not entirely convinced that this is the best way to bring up one's children. But what's happened is, because everybody else is doing it, parents are forced to buy all this technology and all the, the gizmos that go with this lifestyle.
We also know that parents are investing for their kids' future. I mean, there are funds out there that they're investing in. And
that's right.
That's possibly the way to ensure.
Yes. Well, I mean, that's one way of doing it, assuming you have the income to be able to support those funds, investing in those funds on a regular basis. But, I mean, it also raises a question about teaching as a profession. When I grew up and many years ago, you felt that teachers did it for the love of doing it. I mean, they really loved their job, and they weren't paid particularly high salaries. Whereas nowadays, the cost of teachers' salaries is just phenomenal, and that reflects itself in the school fees that you see not just in the more developed countries, but even in Asia. The best schools in places like Beijing or Tokyo or Singapore command extremely high fees, and this is become part of the corporate culture. It's part of the sort of remuneration packages that go along with executive pay. I think that's going to change, given the sort of stresses that we're seeing in the marketplace after this recession in terms of compensation. I think a lot of those privileges are going to go away, and a lot of the schools in this area are probably going to find it difficult going forward to maintain those high salaries.
There's always that tussle between private and public schools. I mean, like in Singapore, we're pretty lucky because public schools have very high standards. I mean, that's not really the case elsewhere, even in developed countries.
That's right. I mean, Singapore is a real exception in that respect. I mean, you have these fantastic schools which have indoor basketball courts, which are air-conditioned and have complete lighting, etc.
Swimming pools.
Extraordinary, yes. So, that I think is an exception. The normal circumstances which you see across Asia is that public schools are lacking in facilities. There's a growing divide between the private and public schools.
Okay, Arjuna, let's bring in Nuri Vitachi, the man who knows everything about this. Nuri, $300,000, a lot of money. I mean, you're talking about a human being after all.
Yes, in fact, we've worked out that it costs roughly the same to raise a child from 0 to 17 as it costs to buy a 3-bedroom apartment in an average city. So, that would be $5 million in Hong Kong, maybe a quarter of $1 million pounds in the UK. It's a lot of money, but it varies a lot. For example, some parents spend as little as $50,000. Some will spend $400,000. There comes a time, like when a kid is about 6, where the kid will say, you give the kid something, sports shoes, say, and the kid will say, hey, that's not a brand name, that's not Nike, that's not Adidas. And you see a stupid parent, that's me, will say, okay, I get you the real ones. But your smart parent will say, I'm not paying 100% markup for a brand name. So these decisions make the difference between whether your kid is a $50,000 kid or a $400,000 kid.
Nuri, I'm a self-confessed shopaholic. When you go to the warehouse, you buy in bulk, you get a discount. Is there such a thing as bulk discount for kids? I mean, if I raise 6, do I get economies of scale, or do I just spend 6 times as much?
I tried that at the local school. I have 3 kids, and I said, look, do I get a discount for bulk? They said no. I tried it at McDonald's. They also said no. So the quick answer is no, there's no discount for bulk number of kids. But On the other hand, when it comes to general shopping, the demographers say there is a discount because you spend slightly less. You know, the kids share things. You pass the clothes down child to child. So basically, each child costs around 25% less than the previous child. Now, if you follow this through, if you have enough kids, about 7 kids, all the kids will cost nothing. So I don't know where the maths goes wrong there. But basically, you know, have a lot of kids. It'll be slightly cheaper per child.
Nuri, this is Arjuna. Where in Asia is it cheaper to raise children? Have you found that out?
Yes, the cheapest places are the places which don't go for brand names. Like, for example, if you raise a child in South Asia, you're unlikely to have as many meals in Starbucks or McDonald's. For example, Bangladesh. Bangladesh doesn't have McDonald's. It doesn't have a lot of these brand name places. Therefore, your kid can be bombarded by, you know, the evil people who run TV stations saying, buy this, and the kid has no opportunity to demand brand name products. So yeah, let's all move to Bangladesh.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's a thought. Hey, by the way, you know, when you invest, you want returns. For your $300,000, what do you get?
Oh, yeah. Well, it works out roughly as, say, $3 an hour. And you actually get a lot of good stuff for that, because kids actually, they bring you so many benefits. You know, you get a 24-hour on-call comedian in your house. You get a fantastic welcome every time you go home. All these things, they're nice, cuddly things to have, but also they have amazing biochemical responses, you know. This love you get from a child has a biochemical effect on an adult, causes you to live longer, be healthier, be happier. So in fact, for $3 an hour, you get a pretty good deal, actually.
Nuri, I'll settle for a holiday instead. Nuri Vitachi, thank you so much for that. And of course, Arjuna Mahendran, thanks for being with us.